and all. I, Sahitya, welcome you all to this episode of Xoxo webinar series. I take this opportunity to introduce today's speaker, Jessica Thiefels, an organic content marketing consultant from the organization Jessica Thiefels Consultancy. So far, she worked as founder and editor-in-chief for the organization We Run for Food. She also worked as associate online editor for Active Network. She also worked as an vice president of community management for Polyswan Private Limited and also owner and editor-in-chief for Honors Poly Fitness. Today, we are honored to host her. Today's webinar is on how to build social media recognition into your employee program. During the webinar, we discussed on the point on how to make social media as a part of your employee recognition, growth of social media usage in a company's wellness program, making the recognition go global, appreciate your employees in masses, and also go digital in your reward program. The duration of webinar is 30 minutes, followed by a 15 minutes of Q&A session. Please share your questions to the chat box during Q&A round, and Jessica will be happy to answer them. Over to you, Jessica.
Everyone, I hope everyone's having a great day wherever you are. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm excited to be here today and talk about building social media recognition into your employee programs. So I wanted to share a little bit more about myself. I know I got a little intro there, which is great. Before I did marketing and social media, I was a writer and a student journalist. And about 7 years ago, when I stepped into my first content writing job, social media kind of got dropped onto my plate, and so it's followed me ever since. Now I run my business full time, but before that I was a director of social outreach and a VP of community management. And now my company is a content marketing company, and we offer writing and SEO link building services, and also one-on-one social media coaching for entrepreneurs. So you may be wondering why I'm here. As the VP of Community Management and the Director of Social Outreach, I've done a lot in this in terms of promoting employees and leadership within social media. One of my main goals as the VP of Community Management was promoting the people, especially the CTO and CEO. We were in a very technical space, cybersecurity, and so those are the people they wanted to hear from. And so much of my work surrounded with sharing their quotes. And as you can see in the images on the screen, I would regularly from our CEO, and we also had employee voices on our blog sharing about their experiences. So it's something I'm relatively familiar with and something that has a lot of benefits for you as a business. So in terms of promoting your employees, or recognizing your employees within the realm of your employee programs, there are a wide range of benefits. The first one being boosting your brand. So this gives you a way to show a more authentic side of your business. So rather than just selling or asking someone to click a link, you're just showing public appreciation for the people that make your business run. Likely many of the people that your customers have had interactions with. Another benefit of this is appreciating your employees in masses. So you're not just giving a quiet good work or we appreciate you behind closed doors or in a single office. You're shouting it. You're telling everybody, anyone around the world who follows you can see it. And it was kind of cool. We would introduce new employees at my role at the cybersecurity company. And it was fun to see followers saying hi to them or welcoming them to the company, welcoming them to our community. So it's just another way to continue. Your employees are an active part of that. If you're running a global business, it's also a really great way to make sure your teams feel connected. Perhaps you have, for me, I'm in San Diego right now. If I was working for a company where some of my coworkers were in India, we might have conversations during the day, but we're not connecting outside of the, day in and day out of business. So at night, while I'm scrolling through my feed, I might see pictures of some great wellness programs that are going on in the office in India, and that might get me excited and make me want to bring it to our office. So just another way to make sure everyone is united. It's also a really great way to build your following. When you bring employees on board, something really easy is just, it's part of our company culture to promote the programs we put a lot of work into. So tell your family and friends to follow us, and they can see what you're up to and see your wins, successes, and it's exciting for the employee, and it's exciting for their friends and family too. And then the benefit for you is maybe you're, driving a little bit more of a following and more engagement. And finally, it ultimately can help grow your internal programs. So if you're running a larger company, probably a lot of people don't participate. I'm sure a handful of people do, but some may not. And so again, the whole idea of an employee simply scrolling through their feed at night and seeing that a couple of their coworkers did an afternoon jog part of your wellness program, then I might want to do that down the road because I didn't know it existed before that. So just a way to draw awareness to your programs and then ultimately grow them, which is exactly what you want if you're putting a lot of work into that. So if you're ready to start bringing some of this recognition into your programs, there are 5 really simple steps that I want you to consider. The first one being to get the legal details squared away. The second one being to add these posts to your ongoing calendar. The third one being to nominate program social leaders. Fourth, to standardize your graphics. And fifth, to collect employee-generated content. So let's just dive into each step here. The first one being a legal detail, and the main concern here is really simple: employee privacy. It's practice to get consent from every employee before ever sharing a photo of them online. And in this case, there probably will be a lot of photos shared. So just getting their consent is really the main goal here, but I think the experts at Think HR made a really good point, which is why I included this quote here. The point being that if you're getting really images and content, you're probably going to want to bring that into other areas of your business and marketing. For example, you might start using the photos as part of your recruiting outreach, or you may put them on your company culture page on your website. You may use them in marketing for outreach to press, or put them in articles that are published on other sites like Forbes or publishers within your industry. So having some sort of bulk form to basically say, yes, I'm okay with you using my images in all of these various ways, just covers you and make sure that you're doing the right thing. And it's a pretty standard form. If you already have a legal department or working with lawyers, it's something that they can pretty easily draw up for you. So just get that in place before doing anything. Step 2 is going to be to add these to your calendar. And when I say calendar, I mean your content or social media planning calendar. Likely your marketing team is already maintaining this in some capacity. And there's a few reasons why you want to add this into the calendar. First one being variety. So if you run a lot of programs, there's a chance that you may just be featuring a lot of the same programs over and over again. By adding them into your calendar, you're making sure you're giving a chance to show what everyone's doing, which is good for you and good for you. You want everyone to feel recognized, even if maybe their program is smaller or not as popular. So one way you can facilitate this is to say, we're going to post about X program every Wednesday and Y program every Friday. And so it's automatically in your calendar, that variety. And so you can really make sure you're recognizing everybody and not just one or two groups that maybe are more popular. The next benefit of this is planning. So as I kind of mentioned a little bit earlier, you can kind of set out the time so you know when you need the content. And this is also important because you're very likely not posting in the moment. If your social media team has a schedule set, you're posting when they say to post. So in this case, adding it to the calendar just ensures that you're not thinking about something. So for example, there may have been an event last week, but you don't want to share it for a few weeks because you're promoting the launch of a new product. So by slotting it into the calendar, let's say 3 weeks from now, you're making sure you're not going to forget about that. You're definitely going to promote it. It's just going to be a few weeks out. And finally is the accountability piece. And this is really important because it's so easy to drop the ball, especially with marketing teams. They're juggling so many different things between email marketing and social media and content. This is a really easy thing to forget about. So putting it into the calendar just makes sure that no one's forgetting to do the work. No one's forgetting to get it made and scheduled and put out to your community. And this is just a perfect example. Might slot into your calendar. You might have one, on Tuesday and one on Monday and then Thursday of the following week. You don't necessarily have to have a perfect cadence or this on this day and this on that day. As long as it's in the calendar, the work is being done. And so that's the important part. You'll find the regularity that works for you, and maybe just posting when you have the opportunity is all you can do. But if you run a lot of programs, building them into the calendar will make sure that you're posting regularly and recognizing your employees regularly, which really is the point of all the work that you're doing here. So next is step 3, and this is a really important step. So when I say nominate program social leaders, I mean you're nominating a few people within the company that are going to be responsible for getting this important content. So for example, you may have 5 different employee programs that you run, but not everybody goes to all these programs, and most people that are going are very involved in what they're doing. The program social leader is going to go to that program every time it happens, and their goal is just to look for the things that are very shareable. So they may be looking for example, as I said here in the slideshow, they might be trying to take pictures or listening for really great quotes from leadership or taking notes of ideas shared or interesting interactions, and even though shareable. So for example, a great idea may have been shared during your monthly innovation challenge. That idea, along with the employee who came up with it, can then be promoted in your social media. And so it just takes someone being there to listen to that and write it, or remember to follow up with them and get more information later to get that. Because obviously your marketing team isn't going to have the bandwidth to be at every single one of these programs, and they're the ones that are really in charge of a lot of the content that's going out. The second part of that is making sure that the marketing team is getting what they need. And one way to make sure that happens is to offer social media training for the people that you decide are going to be the program leaders. And there are a few ways that you can do this. One could be a 30-minute training, perhaps in the morning or afternoon. You bring everyone together in a room, and the marketing team just spends about 30 minutes going over what they're looking for. We're looking for really great photos, or we're looking for standout quotes from the CEO right now, or we're working on building out this part of our brand. So it would be really great at these ideas. Pulling all of that in ensures that the marketing team gets what they need. Actually, you can make the most of this opportunity to not only just promote your employees, but get all those other benefits we talked about, like growing your social media following or boost brand. Another idea is a lunch and learn, which could be kind of fun to invite any company who wants to go, in addition to the social media program leaders. A lunch and learn, in case you're not familiar with it, is pretty much exactly what it sounds like. Lunch is provided to the employees, and they learn something. So this can be a lunch and learn for your marketing team. And it could be interesting to do because all employees are likely posting some things about maybe an event here or a project they're working on there. And again, the marketing team can kind of help guide them and say, use these hashtags, or make sure you always include this link. And it just gets everybody on the same page in terms of making sure you're coming forward with a really consistent messaging, regardless of who's posting. Another option that's likely less labor intensive is just having your marketing write up a simple guide. So they can just write this up, save it out as a PDF, and send it out to the social media program leaders. And this will just be exactly like what they teach in the training, just showing, explaining what they're looking for, what they need, even best practices in terms of making sure they're following up with the person who the social media leader heard a quote from, and making sure they're being quoted properly. And the final option, and this could be, in fact, in addition to any of option 1, 2, or 3, is creating a printable checklist that the social media or the social program leader can then take with them to these events. And it could be a checklist of, like, for example, 3 particular things to look for. You know, at every single event, make sure you get at least 1 photo, at least 1 quote, and at least 1, I don't know, inspiring story, perhaps. Or even like a testimonial about how someone's enjoying the program. That's great for your brand too, especially in marketing. So these are just a few ways to make sure that the people that are at the events and getting the information are making the marketing team's life a little bit easier, and there's less back and forth. You're more effective. You're not spending time having to retrace your steps, or sending a program leader to a meeting or an event or program, and they don't get anything out of it. So this way, just everything should run a little bit smoother because everyone's on the same page. Step 4 is standardizing your posts. So ultimately, you're likely going to be posting a lot of graphics. Studies show time and time again that graphics, photos included with social media posts get exponentially more engagement than a post without an image. So that's going to be important regardless. And because of that, it's going to be really time intensive. It could be very time intensive for your marketing team and your design team. Not only does your marketing team need to work with the design team, but then the design team needs to create the graphic. There may be some back and forth between what the marketing team did and the design team created. And so you're minimizing the time spent by basically templating the graphics that you're going to be posting. So a few examples could be the employee quote graphic that you saw. That was a template that I always used, and I'll show you a few of these templates in a minute. In that case, all I had to do was just drop in the text. I already had the format, the style, the look and feel. I just needed to add the content. Really quick, really easy. You could even have a template for your wellness program where let's say, the first Monday of every month, you feature the 3 healthiest employees, and all you do is just update the names each month, or update the names and images. The background looks the same, the title looks the same, your in place. It's just easier. And it's also important for brand consistency. So your graphics team probably already, to some extent, has templates that they use for creating media images like this. And it just ensures that it looks the same every time, and that your brand is properly, it comes through properly in the posts. It's really easy with stuff like this to kind of get away from your brand because you're excited to share an employee story, but it's important that you always have your logo on there and that your colors look the same. And in terms of attracting your followers, it can also be helpful because they start remembering what your posts look like, and so they may be scrolling and it kind of stops them from the scroll because they remember, oh yeah, I saw this graphic last week, I really liked it, let me stop and see what this is again. Let me show you a few examples of work that I've done where I'm using templates. So if you're looking in the top left corner, this was actually a template for a specific blog post, and we featured 5 reasons to plug into our marketplace. And so I created this graphic, had the same header, the same bolded text for which number reason it was, and then a quote that was unbolded underneath that, just kind of further sharing information about what this graphic is saying. And then, of course, the logo at the bottom. If you look to the top right and actually the bottom left, there are two consistent quote images templates that I used very regularly. The one in the top right was just a standard quote. Sometimes I pulled from interviews, or sometimes I just pulled from videos that our CEO did. And then the bottom left was actually for longer quotes. I started bolding one part of the longer quote to draw the eye in that direction because longer quotes are easier to scroll by. So that was another template style that I used. And then finally, the bottom right, that was, again, it's a similar quote template, but this one's for something very specific. So it was for a program that a blog series we were doing about being a woman in cybersecurity. If you're in that industry, you know that there's a lot of discussion about gender in the industry, in the tech industry in general. And so we wanted to promote women in that industry. And so you'll notice there's a little PNG of a fist, like a unity sort of graphic. And that's how I deviated from the norm there. So the reason why I wanted to show you this is A, to get an idea of what I mean by templating the graphics, but B, to show you that you could even have one basic template and change that up for each program or for each particular thing you're featuring in the program. So perhaps for quotes in your wellness program, the template looks different and would naturally look different than the template in which you are featuring or recognizing 3 employees that earn the title of healthiest employee of the month. So there are ways to template things, but also keep them interesting. And finally, we have step 5, and collecting employee-generated content. So this is just one way to ensure that you're getting content. So while you have someone going to these programs, it's nice to have different viewpoints, right? So the social leader going to the program is seeing things from their perspective, and that's fine. But by grabbing content from your employees, you're changing up the conversation and you're bringing in a different perspective to what you're posting. It also gives employees a chance to share things that they're really excited about within the program, or even being able to nominate someone to recognize. Perhaps there was someone in an innovation program that you did, and people were really excited about, let's say, a product or offering that one of your employees came up with. That employee may not want to say something because they're being humble and they don't want to say, hey, you should recognize me. But another employee who's in that program might think that was really great. I think we should be promoting this on social media. And so they can then share that with the marketing team. And that way you're really able to recognize every employee, regardless of whether they come up to you and regardless of whether your social leaders are picking up on that within the group. So a variety of content, a variety of perspectives. But the most important part here is that you're going to want to create a process for submitting these, whether it's an image or an idea or an employee nomination. Because ultimately we don't want all of these emails cluttering your marketing team's inbox, which is likely what will happen. And then also get lost in the inbox. If someone on your marketing team isn't properly organizing their emails, then someone who should have been recognized doesn't get recognized. And that's a bummer. The whole point of the program is to make sure that everyone gets their chance in the spotlight. So to create a process for submitting, it's really whatever feels good and works well for you. So you could simply have a submission form. You could use this, use like a Google form builder, or there's plenty of form tools out there. And you could just have a very standardized, again, sort of template for what people submit. So you might have name, date, program, and then text, then something where they could attach a piece of media. media. So maybe they want to attach the presentation the person did or a photo or video that they took. This way, it's actually really easy for your marketing team to then take that information and plug it into their templates rather than having to read through an email that's, a bunch of paragraphs and a lot of extra content that they don't need. This sort of streamlines the process of submitting that information. Another option is just to simply have a company-wide folder where employees, this might be for just sharing media, but employees could just drop media into the folder, and then the marketing team, when they need more content, can just dig through the content. This may not be the most efficient process, but it is a pretty easy way to just share videos and images. And if you're posting mostly video and images, it could be a good option for you. The final option is to have the marketing team send out weekly reminders. And this is less of an option for submitting and more of a way to continue building engagement within your employee programs and making sure that employees know that they're being recognized on social media. Your marketing team can just simply set up an auto email, and perhaps that auto email goes out with the submission form that you've created. And it could be as simple as, hey, reminder, it could go out every Friday. Here's a reminder to submit anything that happened in employee programs this week that you were really excited about. Please include any media or any pertinent details, and we'll follow up if needed. Pretty simple process. Keeps people engaged and excited. And it also just makes things easier for the employees that are managing the process, which is, of course, again, the marketing team. Those are the 5 steps to getting started. It's pretty straightforward. Much of it can be standardized for what works for your business, whether you keep a content calendar or not. If you don't, perhaps you just start keeping a calendar promoting employee programs and recognizing employees. Perhaps you build it into your recruiting program, and that's one way to get people excited about working for your business or working for me. So a lot of ways to use this and to reap the benefits of boosting your brand, driving engagement, increasing followers. And these 5 steps are just a little blueprint for you to follow as you figure out how to make it work for your business. So now I'd like to invite you to ask any questions or share your ideas or insights. The chat window is right to the left of your screen. So go ahead and send in any message. I'm happy to answer questions. One thing that I can share with you while we're waiting to see if any questions come in is in terms of designing the templates. If you're working in a small business and you don't have designers, there are a lot of really great free tools out there that you could use. I really love Canva. It's totally free to use. You can upload your own font, but they have a lot of fonts to choose from. And another great tool is Photoscape. Photo and then SCAPE. That's also free to download, and it's a really extensive editing tool. So those would be 2 really great options if you're creating these templates yourself. And hi, Karen. Thanks for joining. Glad to have you here. And yes, as a reminder, the chat is the perfect place for your questions. Also, just to say, hey, happy to hear a hello. All right. Hi, Ganesh. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm excited to see your question. So your question being, in case someone's not seeing the chat, should we make sure that we also share the testimonials of our employees about the employee programs we do? Definitely. I mean, that's for sure one piece of content. So I suppose that's something we didn't dig into quite as much. We can go over now quickly is the different types of content you might be looking for. So the benefit of a testimonial is that I see this being most beneficial in terms of hiring and attracting people to your company, because it shows that you're offering programs that employees are actually excited about. So a lot of companies could say, we offer this and this, and they don't really follow through with it. This is one way to show this is really important to us, and as such, do follow through with it. So and also a benefit of that is that the employee probably feels great. They're getting to share their opinion. Their feedback is being heard on a public scale. Some other types of content are of course, images of employees during programs. Could also be sharing someone's great idea. You could have like something really cool, like employee idea of the month. And share a really cool thing that came out of one of your meetings or one of the programs. So you can really feel free to be creative here. What fits yours? What's maybe you're a computer repair business and one of your employees in one of your programs discovered something that they'd never seen before. That could be something cool to share. So-and-so found this interesting bug that we've never seen before. And then you could even turn that into an educational piece. Now let's tell you how to make sure that doesn't happen to your computer. So bringing in your brand and your brand value and your company value is a really great way to take these employee recognition posts a little bit further. I hope that answered the question for you. Feel free to send a follow-up. Karen's question is, how can you recognize or maybe post on a daily basis, and how can we keep a record of whether the person has seen the content or not? So if I understand the question right, we're wondering, how can you post regularly on a daily basis, keep a record of whether it was seen, and turn it into something repetitive and regular? So the first thing being, that's where the planning comes in. If you want to post on a daily basis, that's perfect. You just have to build it into your content or social media plan. As I said, your social media team is definitely already regularly posting. So this is just has to be built into what they're already posting. Whether or not the person has seen it, if you mean the person who is being promoted, or recognized, I think a really great way to manage that would be if you have an internal communications system to make sure you share the posts when it goes live. So your marketing team might say, today's employee recognition is so-and-so, and here's the post, and then share a link to the post. So that also drives engagement to the post. The employee gets recognized twice, and you're making sure that they're seeing it. Everyone is seeing this post, and the fact that they can be recognized as well. It gives them something to strive, work toward. And then in terms of just making that a repetitive process, it's just a matter of planning it and holding your team accountable. That, it could be hard to maintain that level of content. So that's going to be another, something else you're going to want to work on, is making sure that you have enough content. That's likely going to come from getting the content from your employees. So really encouraging them to submit as often as possible will make sure that you have what you need to actually maintain that cadence. Hope that helps, Karen. Very welcome. How can we make employees engage with social media posts? Something that I was saying earlier, I think, is a really great idea, which is sharing the posts with the team. So if you're using, for example, Slack or some other internal communications tool, it's really easy to just post a link to the social media post right into the channel. You could have a specific channel where that goes to. You could have like a social media channel where everything about your branded social media goes in there, or maybe a community channel, or even something like a every morning channel, where that might even drive more engagement because it's something that employees should check every morning, because let's say important notifications and announcements are shared there. So employees are in the habit of regularly checking it, and so then they see the post, they click through to the post, and ideally engage with it. I think really the best option, the best way to boost that engagement is just to be good about recognizing your employees, because that makes them happy. They want to share that. So if you share one of their really great ideas, they're probably going to be more likely to share it versus just a regular social media post that you share about the business or a blog post that you wrote. As we see, the graphics or videos may be big in size, may cover the whole. Can you follow up to clarify that a little bit? So, yeah, I see you're typing. I'll give you a second to see if you can bring some clarification. So I'll just try to answer this as best that I can. So as it may cover the whole business or some part. So the point of these posts really recognize your employees. So in whatever way that you can best do that is what you want to do. In terms of quotes, yes, you want to keep them short so that they're still engaging on social media. It's not something someone's just going to gloss over. And maybe let's say you have a bunch of media or really great 3 employees, let's say, to recognize from one night's program. Break that out into different pieces of content. So rather than trying to fit it all into one post, you're actually creating more content, which is especially helpful if you're posting on a daily basis. And you're able to you can do more with that one event, which is great. So you're able to break it up in that way. I'm not sure if that answers your question, so if not, feel free to ask another clarifying question, and I'm happy to continue working through that one with you. In terms of social media, way you can drive more engagement with your employees using social media, let them know that you're doing it. So even just outside of sharing the post, for example, when I was going to promote or when I was going to recognize a new employee, I would email them to get information and to explain what I'm doing. And then I would also email them a second time to follow up, show them the graphic that I made, and make sure that they really that they liked it. So bringing them in on the process kind of gives them a little bit more ownership over it as well. And so the more ownership they feel, perhaps the more likely they are to engage because they were a part of the creation process. So that could even go for promotional or branded videos, bringing your employees in on the creation process of that, and then they feel proud of it. And they're like, yes, I helped doing this. Rather than email, what are other unique ways? Engaging with your employees from your own accounts. So if you see someone post something about an event, comment on their post. Give them a reason to engage with you. Everyone says, or a lot of people say in social media, so many brands post and then they don't engage. And so why do you expect people to engage with you if you're not engaging with them? So I think taking the first step in what is a two-way street and engaging with your employees' posts is a great way to encourage them to engage more with your posts. To catch their attention, I think a really good thing is, again, keeping it shorter to the point and working with a really great designer. So one thing I've learned over the years is that people skim over designers do and create things a certain way. They know the way that if you put text at a certain size in a certain part of the graphic, it's going to be more eye-catching. So working with a really good working with a really great designer is going to be important there. They know how to format the image in a way that's going to be most eye-catching. And ultimately, there's not just one best option here. So what you want to do is test, track, see what's working, see what's driving engagement, and then when you find that out, do more of that. And that means also not just doing graphics, doing videos too. And when you're doing videos, test a short 20-second video versus a 2-minute video. It's all about tracking your success and testing and keeping track of what you're testing and seeing what's not. So you can kind of create a rinse and repeat process where you know what you test for 6 months and then you know what works. And that doesn't mean you stop testing, but then you can continue elevating what you're doing and putting more content out. Other ways to engage with employees. So if you meet on social media, it's hard to control employee engagement on social media, merely because you can't tell them to do it if they don't want to do it. If you mean within the company, there are definitely dozens of ways to do that. I'm surely not an HR expert, but in my experience, oh no, I'm sorry you guys can't hear the audio. Is it broken up or is it just not coming through at all? I hope it's coming through on the recording at least. Well, in either case, I'll just continue talking quickly about the engagement with employees. Your employee programs in general are a great way to engage with your employees. Other ways are asking them what they want. Ultimately, you can give your employees anything, but if it's not what excites them, then it's not going to engage them. So perhaps they want more training. Perhaps they want more time for internal collaboration. Perhaps they are looking for different programs. Being in touch with your employees using a really simple free polling app could be all you need to start seeing an increase in engagement in your company. Because you just need to know what they want. If you're just guessing, you're probably missing the mark. Okay, good. I'm glad everyone feels like they can hear a little bit better now, and that it will be all set in the recorded video. Do we have any other questions? These are great questions. Thank you so much for asking. It's fun being able to dive in and see what people are thinking.
Hi Jessica, looks everyone is fine and Paris to we are ending the session now. Thank you Jessica, thanks for the enlightening session and for taking out your valuable time for us. We now clearly understand. Jessica, looks like there is one more question.
Sure. Now that is a technical question that I actually don't have the answer for. It's a matter of how Gmail is classifying your emails. What I do know is that you can, especially if you have a business account, you can reach out to your business account representative and they can likely provide a little bit of insight if your emails aren't going into the primary tab. I'm not sure why they wouldn't if it's coming from your domain and it's going to employees internally. But I know there's a way to work around that. So I would recommend just reaching out to whoever your contact is for your business email account, and they can for sure give some suggestions for you, because that's definitely important for engagement, of course, that your emails aren't getting. Any other way to target your maximum employees? Meaning like targeting everyone at once? Create maximum engagement for sure. Yeah, I think ultimately just knowing what they want to be engaged with. So in terms of being in the office, you just need to know, you need to poll them, find out what they're looking for. If you're offering training that they're bored with, of course they're not going to be engaged with it. So perhaps you send out an email and you say, we're going to do a lunch and learn next week. Here's 3 topics, and then you pick the topic that you got the most responses for. You know, you can guess all you want, but at the end of the day, if it's not what they want, they're not going to engage, and that's just the reality. So you just have to be more in tune with what your employees want and need. Very welcome. Thank you for asking the questions.
Thank you, Jessica Thiefels. Thanks for the enlightening session, and thank you for your valuable time taken for us. We now clearly understand how to make employee reward programs more effective by using social media. I would also thank all the audience for their keen interest and joining us today for making this webinar a success. Xoxoday Enterprise is a technology platform. Xoxoday Enterprise is a technology platform helping organizations to manage rewards, incentives, and loyalty programs. We work to develop scalable, secure, distributive, and seamless solutions that help your employees, consumers, and channel partners engage with your brand. With our unparalleled catalog, up-to-date experiences, and gift vouchers, Xoxo creates captivating mechanics to enhance stakeholders' engagement. Xoxo Enterprise works with over 800 global clients. Our business comprises of experience and activities, enterprise SaaS rewards platform, and brand vouchers. Xoxoday brings to you unique hand-picked collection of experiences and vouchers across various categories and brands. Take a sneak peek into the website of the Xoxoday. We will be updating you about our upcoming webinar. So stay tuned everybody and have a great day ahead.